natural born public speaker, and that's a fact.
Do you actually feel guilty, or were you just told to feel guilty?
Focus on actually what we can do.
Point it out and show it to me.
You have the freedom to do what you want to and be what you want to in America.
What are we going to do about it?
What oppressed me?
Just saying.
So the CRT stuff, BS.
I've talked to tons of teachers in these speaking engagements that I go to, and these teachers will sit there and flat out show me papers that they get to pretty much grade them on their whiteness and their whiteness superiority. You know what I mean? When you start to see those words like that, when you start to see those type of words like, you know, equity, inclusion, diversity, social justice, all those, when you start to see things like that, you know, I mean, you don't know, some people don't, but you'll start to see that same type of thing was used in Marxism. It's all about trying to start some sort of revolution to overthrow a certain class. And Marxism in its origins has always been that they're going after capitalists. So that means people that have their own businesses, their own job, their own land, entrepreneurs, business owners, owners of anything. Marxism wants to revolutionize and overthrow that, pretty much feeling like that everybody should just be on equal playing fields. Everybody gets a trophy. Everybody should be supplied with the same exact type of things, and you don't have to work for it. That's where the issue comes in at. And that's why, you know, if you don't believe me, why you think during this past summer of love and all that, when Black Lives Matter and different organizations were tearing stuff up, they were stealing stuff, and the girl was saying these are our reparations and nothing was happening to them. Why would it even be put in their mind that they can loot and steal and do these things in the name of getting reparations? Like it's owed to them. See, that's what I'm saying. That same rhetoric, that same narrative, that same ideology that was in Marxism is the same thing that's actually being rooted out of critical race theory, along with Marxism being its darn parasite. So again, yes, you can say that the words critical race theory is not being taught in school, but the principles of critical race theory is being taught in school. That's no different than me sitting here telling you that Christianity is not being taught in school. I can say the Bible, the Holy Bible, is not being taught in school. But then if your kids come home saying, okay, we learn about something called the 10 rules of life, and they say, thou shalt not kill, thou shalt not steal, thou shalt not commit adultery, thou shalt not covet thy neighbor's wife, thou shalt not commit false, witness against thy neighbor. When you start to see things like that, you will say, okay, you guys are teaching out of the Holy Bible. You're teaching the Bible. Oh, no. Show me where we don't teach the Holy Bible. Yes, you are. You're teaching principles out of the Holy Bible. You know what I mean? So that's how they're infiltrating this into the school systems. Yeah, it's not CRT, but it's under the guise of all kind of different names. So nobody's falling for that. So again, CRT itself, critical race theory itself by title. Yeah, that title, the abbreviations and the word, that phrase critical race theory may not be taught in schools, but the principles are being taught in the school system. Now, so the reason why I want to kind of get onto this, when you guys see that I said it has no place in today's world, and I want to get into this once and for all, is this. Obviously, there are some people that do not know their history. So if critical race theory is theorizing that there are systems in place that's there to benefit white people, and it's been there since our founding fathers. So what this would end up doing is this. If they end up saying that this critical race theory, if they say that these systems have been in place since our founding fathers, and what they are seeking to do is look at the founding fathers as all being a racist. And the reason why they're saying that the founding fathers are racist is because some of the founding fathers had slaves, right? And here's the thing, though. 15 of those founding fathers were mainly for slavery. You do know that, right? 15 of the founding fathers were for slavery. But the way that you're being taught in school is that all of them was, right? And they weren't. So if they weren't, wouldn't you like to know the ones that weren't for it? Wouldn't you like to be taught about the ones that was not for it? So the slick thing that they do is that they'll try to say, hey, since critical race theory is based on the theory off of these systems that have been in place, and it's been there for a long time, and it's there to benefit white people, and it's been like that since the forefathers. And now you got to go after the Constitution now, because now they will say that the Constitution was written up by white men to do nothing more than to benefit white men. But then you will run into an issue if you knew your real history. OK, you will run into a real bad issue if you end up studying your history, when you find out that a lot of the forefathers were against slavery. A lot of our forefathers, they actually wrote about slavery. You know what I mean? A lot of our founding fathers, they legitimately wrote about slavery, but nobody's talking about that part. They're not talking about how Benjamin Franklin or John Adams, these guys were abolitionists. They were trying to abolish slavery. They wrote back to Britain wanting to abolish slavery. You're not being told that in school. So here's my thing. 1619, 19 slaves were on a Portugal ship. They were captured. Okay. They were captured. And when they were captured, they were brought up into Northern America. Okay. On the coast. When they were brought here, they were not slaves. They were indentured servants. And when they became indentured servants and they served out their indentured servitude, they were given land to go and start to do what most Americans is about to what most Americans are about today. What America actually represents. So did y'all hear what I just said? Because I know I talk fast. Whenever 1619 happened, 19 slaves were on a Portugal ship. They were captured by Americans. Americans took those slaves that was on that ship and they were turned into indentured servants. When they ended up becoming indentured servants and served out their servitude, they were given land and they went and started doing the very thing that the white people were doing as well up in Northern America. OK, so now here's the thing. You got a guy, Anthony Johnson. Anthony Johnson ended up he was an indentured servant, ended up having his own land. So he actually used to send for other slaves that came over on the ship for indentured servitude. And I'm not talking about stealing slaves. That's not what I'm talking about. I'm talking about slaves that actually was on the boat to America with the intent of going to a new world to be able to serve out an indentured servitude so they can actually have an opportunity to start their own thing. Now, Anthony Johnson was actually pretty much, I guess the word you can look for, he was, what's the word I'm looking for? Like sponsoring them to pretty much come over to work as an indentured servant to him. So then once they did that, they will be able to go off and do their own thing. Now, he was the first person to go on record to actually sue another slave because that slave did not serve out his indentured servitude. So Anthony Johnson took this man to court and he won. And this man became his lifetime slave. So the first person in America to actually have like legal slavery and actually have it like legitimized was a black man named Anthony Johnson. That's history right there. So now here's my thing, though. This is where we get into this issue where people got mad at me on Fox News because I said America wasn't founded on racism, because the first slaves that came here in the slaves that came here in 1619, which they seem to be bent on, they were not slaves. They ended up being indentured servants. Right. So anyway, now with that right there being out of the way, tell me this. John Adams, one of the ones that wrote the Declaration of Independence, one of the signers of the Declaration of Independence. People think that all happened just in one day. We get showed that picture. Right. We can show the picture of them being in the whatever hall or room they were in. And it shows all those people sitting there. I think it was like 56 of them. They all sitting there and people instantly think. And one day they just all met and just said, let's form the Constitution. Let's do the Declaration of Independence and write our names. No, they had to take time to do that. So, again, here's where a lot of, things that can help a lot of people out that can come into play. When you find out that people like John Adams talked about Lemuel Haynes and he talked about Harry Hoosier, he talked about these guys, Morant, and these reverends is who he consulted in. He consulted in white preachers. He consulted in black preachers. And when he did that, these people are what helped influence him actually add certain type of literature to the Declaration of Independence. But we don't get told that. See, what happens is this. When you find out and you see that black people were ministers here in America and white people were ministers here in America, and then people that signed the Declaration of Independence consulted black ministers and white ministers, then it gets to make you think like, wait a minute, I thought that it was all about black people coming over here and getting beat and all these things happening. Now, that's just one instance that I just gave you guys. Why did I go down that route with the historical attributes that I just did? You want to know why? It's because what will kill the CRT theory is that it's saying that these systems were put in place to benefit white people. Therefore, if it was there to benefit white people had slaves, slavery is considered to be racism, then that must mean that the Constitution was made for white people who were racist. And that's completely wrong, because if that was the case, then there never would have been any indentured servitude. So when the Declaration of Independence was signed and the Constitution, all things was done, that was done for all people. Why? Because when America was discovered and all these things were going on in the beginning with their Declaration of Independence, a lot of people up in the North, these people were actually benefiting from what America was founded on when they came there for the land of the free, home of the brave, opportunity. And still to this day, if they're claiming that America is still this crazy, racist, altogether collective racist place to be, why are people still trying to come here? Almost like an indentured servitude. You come to America, you don't do crime, you uphold your citizenship, you uphold your green card, you do all these things, then guess what? It's a good chance you can be rewarded with becoming an American citizen. Almost the same things like being, don't that almost sound just like being an indentured servant? You know what I mean? You come here to work, to be a good citizen, to not break no laws, to learn what America is about, America principles, what she stands for, and all those things like that. You actually are molding yourself into what an American is supposed to be. And if you do that and do it right way, through the legal way, in today's world, but anyway, the regular way, like you're supposed to, then technically you are almost doing what indentured servants did back during that time. You are fulfilling your indentured servitude so that you can become an American citizen and actually open yourself up to what? More opportunities to be a self-independent, self-serve person, which can end up leading to you to have capitalism. Capitalism to be able to do whenever, anything. You can do whenever, however, whatever. You can go after anything that you dreamed of. You can go after any opportunity that you might want to chase. You can go after more knowledge. You can go after learning a better skill to actually improve who? Yourself, which can indeed, it can actually improve your family, whoever may be with you. So again, that's where my issue comes in with critical race theory, is that if it's theorizing that these systems has been in place since America has been discovered, especially with the Constitution, Declaration of Independence, and they're trying to say that this was only there to benefit white people, and all the white people that were actually part of the Declaration of Independence signing and everything, they were racist, then that's what CRT is based it off of. But what I just gave you there with them consulting in the four to five black ministers, 4 to 5 white ministers, just to pretty much say we want to make sure this thing is going to be a divine article, that is going to be definitely something by God. Then what I'm saying therefore is, if they did consult in these black people, where was the racism? What's going on, everybody? So, hey, check this out. I appreciate you guys watching. I appreciate you taking time out of your day to view these videos. Do not forget to subscribe to the channel, give the video a thumbs up, and also right here is where you can catch the next video, the latest video that I've done. But like right up here, this is stuff that I've done kind of in the past. So in this area, you might find a video that I've done in the past. It can be funny, it can be something serious, it does not matter. But this is something that you can also do to check out more material that I do in my channel, because I do a lot in this channel, all right? So again, appreciate everything from you guys. Keep on watching it, keep on supporting it, and God bless you all.